part 5 of Try the New Candy by Aaron Beauregard. This short story is called Still Under Construction. Oh, there she is. So setting the scene for the story is... Hi! So our two main characters at the beginning is Wendy and Travis, a newly married couple who are into gothic, emo, white people crap. My kind of crap. Their tastes includes oddities, curiosities, true crime, serial killer stuff, spoopy, creepy, weird, and the awesome. Now, their wedding was descriptive in the sense where it was just them, some random drunk patron as their witness, and they both donned black, and their faces were painted with corpse makeup. A wedding fit for strange gothic folk like themselves. Don't get me wrong, I think their wedding sounds pretty flippin' rad. Their honeymoon was taking place in New Orleans. Immediately after their wedding, they got shit-faced, partied, and consummated their marriage in a graveyard atop of an old man's grave. They woke up drunk and hungover, not remembering the night before, in this graveyard. So they into the weird stuff. Hi. Wendy's goal for their honeymoon trip was to explore the Museum of Death. A museum full of murder memorabilia, true crime, everything. So as they entered the Museum of Death, they were greeted by the doorman named Drexel, who ran the museum at the time. He handed them their tickets, gave them warnings about, there's rules on the back of your tickets, if you need to vomit, please don't do it in the hallway, don't touch certain exhibits, yada yada yada. So they began their entrance into the Museum of Death. It was described that Wendy and Travis are very soft souls that, love weird stuff. So the first room they entered was full of taxidermied pets, like cats and dogs, and Wendy didn't like that too much, so they skipped that first room really quick. So the next room they entered was full of serial killer memorabilia, like Ted Bundy's vehicle, John Wayne Gacy's clown costume and paintings, photos of Marilyn Manson, along with newspaper clippings of all the murder articles. All the good stuff that I probably would look at too. Bones and dead things and a lot of black and red velvet. So as they grew towards the final exhibit of the museum, which was a movie theater exhibit, the few people that were already in the museum prior to them came rushing out, running, and a woman spewed vomit all over the floor. So whatever they were seeing had to be really gut-wrenching. Drexel, the doorman, came out of who knows where and scolded the woman for vomiting in the hallway as he pointed to a sign with, the red circle with the line through it of a man vomiting, and he's like, no vomiting in the hallway, and whisked her away, and Wendy and Travis are like, oh, we gotta go see what's up in here. Yeah. So they enter the room. So they sat down and began watching this film that was laid out before them, which was described as worse than the Faces of Death film. If you know, you know. Online gore. The first scene of this film was a gut-wrenching dissection of a decomposing 12-year-old girl, and it gave full details of what she looked like, what her tongue looked like hanging out of her face, the lack of eyes, and just discoloration, and what the ribs sounded like as this doctor, scientist person cracked her open to begin an examination. And the last few remaining people in the movie theater ran out and were disgusted by the sight of this dissection of a child. Wendy and Travis, of course, were a little thrown off. They've seen some gore on the internet like the rest of us in our youth, and they're like, this is about as bad as what we've seen, but kind of want to stick around to see what else is new. Of course, the film featured other pretty horrendous unalivings and human beings falling from skyscrapers and hitting concrete and what happens to their bodies when that happens. Moments that featured animals. It didn't describe those parts, but Wendy was really unnerved by the harm of animals. I would be too. She didn't want to seem like she was wimping out in front of her new husband, so she politely told Travis, like, I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick. Travis knew what's up, and he's like, alright, just come back. He was already kind of like doing one of these looks. Okay, just come back. So she rushed off, and as she was coming back from the bathroom, she noticed an exhibit that was kind of taped off, and it said something along the lines of still under construction, Dr. something exhibit. She got closer to the door and really wanted to see what was inside. Drexel, of course, came out of nowhere, and he's like, I've been keeping an eye on you, and I wouldn't expect you to break any rules around here. What are you doing? Don't you want to go back in the movie theater with your husband? Wendy began a long spiel to Drexel. I want to make this honeymoon so memorable to my new husband. I will literally pay you 3 times what we paid at the door to enter this museum. If you would allow us to see what's behind the door at this new exhibit, something the public hasn't seen yet, that would be amazing. Drexel, a bit unamused, like he's heard this before. Are you sure? You might not be able to handle it. I saw how you were acting in there. Could you handle it? Wendy stood stoic, pulled down her shirt slightly to reveal a thick scar across her collarbone. She began telling this heartbreaking story of surviving SA by 3 men when she was younger. They tried to unalive her by giving her this scar, and she survived this horrific event, and she swears up and down, I can handle this. I can handle this. Drexel nodded, and he's like, alright, I'll allow it. So Wendy excitedly went to collect Travis, and that story that she told Drexel was a lie. She fibbed. Travis was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you lied to get us back here. This is so exciting. Drexel let them into the room, and he's like, so this door locks from the outside. As soon as I close the door, you can't come back this way, but you have to go through the entire exhibit, and there will be an exit door that you have to go through. Just, it's kind of a one-way through. Enjoy. They had some concerns with that, but nonetheless they persisted. Or at least a part 2